I had run through the streets, but I just want to summarize 5 of these really big guiding principles. Protecting the Constitution is the first and foremost. Restoring constitutional balance and strengthening parliamentary governance, including possibly a consideration of bicameral parliament and putting limitations to Prime Minister's term to just 2 terms for any one Prime Minister. So we are capping off to make sure that the continuing progress and setting out to political process. We will also safeguard the budgeting process and enforce financial rules that the earliest, hopefully, operationalize the sovereign fund. The second line of thought, advancing human development, ensuring universal access to family planning, to maternal health, to health services, to education, and other essential aspects of improving life like electricity, telecommunication, etc. And making sure our rural enclaves are connected and not left behind into development divides. Third and foremost, this research talks about evidence-based governance, establishing parliamentary budget oversight, strong oversight committees, universal national identity system that integrates rural service delivery. The fourth clause talks about smart and sustainable growth, fostering private sector-led and government-facilitated development, wanting to reform state and enterprise, modernize agriculture, accelerate investment, free up land for housing and agriculture, to voluntary and transparency models. The fifth one, and most importantly, talks about accountability and delivery, reforming the bureaucracy to audits, payroll cleansing, government-based incentives, while strengthening the national monitoring and coordinations, and creating a project management unit to fast track and making sure results are achieved. These are not slogans, but structural shifts that demand courage and not comfort. Performance, but not promises anymore. We've got enough promises, we just have to get on with work for our country. And I want to say to all of us here, as we sit at the nation's 50th, for those of us who have worked, the country expects us to deliver on the expectations of our people. Last 6 years, under my watch, we've funneled 56 billion to provinces, to the districts, to the departments, to the PSAs, to the all in all, total, to the universities, to the colleges, 56 billion. And I ask you, what have you done with it? Yesterday was one of the saddest days of my life, but as Prime Minister I had to do something. 2 days ago, I'll just give an example. One constitutional office, his term came up for renewal. The independent selection process shortlisted 3. He was ranked 2nd. And it was a split call. I've been to this voting involvement. I against him that I couldn't vote for him. He failed to report to the use of funds that came out of his works. Not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years, but almost over 5 years he never reported every fund that came out of his works. So when my casting vote was asked, my conscience tells me if someone, doesn't matter whether he's my friend or not, but if he's not a good manager, simple things like reporting rate of public funds that was given, I'm sorry, but vote goes to a new person. And so at this time, as I ask all of you, and I thank all of you, secretaries and department heads and agency heads who are here, I don't know what for Prime Minister. Prime Minister Sina Antara, work here, our Constitution empowers you to do the job right. If a minister instructs you against the conscience or against the laws of a country, send out to the law and do the right thing for them. All of us. Sun is setting on you. One day soon there will be a former politician or so, former department head running around the streets of Papua or the byways of a country. What is the country that you have built or not built that you will be retiring? As a colonel once said for 50 years, to do justice to the thousands of our children who lifted the flag on our 50th. One nation, one country, one people. That on 50th they hosted the flag. They came out. All of us paid by the regular public service. are not conscious to our duty to our flag, are consistent to our people, and not subscribe to a basic reset principle. Firstly, reset your heart to do the right thing for our country. And secondly, all of us work faithfully to the law that governs our country, then we will all contribute to a better country, brothers and sisters. And I ask all of you, James Marape is not going to be here forever. In the process of election, someone else will come in time. But if the foundational core of our public service and politics, then our citizenry will not change. The basic ethics to work correctly, live with the laws, will learn, and make sure we transform our country, then all our efforts will be in vain. University is the birthplace of our nation's consciousness. And I want to say that it is fitting that we take this time to launch our reset. And borrowing Charles's word, reset is not to reinvent the wheel, but it's just to get the basics right. We have abundance of plan. The Vision 2050 sets the goalposts in where we want to go by 2050. But we must ramp up what we're doing today to get to the destination.
Thank you indeed, everyone. I've been using this microphone. Apparently it is louder and better. It's always good to have message loud and clear, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? But Governor as well, good morning to you all. So fantastic to be here today. And I acknowledge you. Thank you, Chancellor. We only spoke at the last minute, really. It was quite at short notice. But the Chancellor actually rang up and said, would you mind coming back and presenting this important document at the UPNG? And after consultation with the Prime Minister, because we hadn't actually launched the document yet, we thought it would be opportune to actually come along here to our eminent institution and launch Reset at 50. It's not actually entitled PNG Reset at 50, it's Reset at 50. It's a subtle thing there. Ladies and gentlemen, and I will acknowledge you all, I must say at the outset, we have been under tremendous pressure. I felt a massive weight on my shoulders how to do this exercise quickly and properly and answer and respond back to the Cabinet and the Prime Minister and to the people of Papua New Guinea something of value in such a short time. It's been a huge and difficult task, myself and the steering committee. We've appreciated the opportunity, but also we felt this tremendous pressure to answer back to our people of Papua New Guinea and give some sort of solution, perhaps, or help in the solution to our good Prime Minister. It hasn't been easy. The time has been short. With wonderful partners and friends, we have tried our very best to respond to Cabinet and the Prime Minister and give something good back to the people of Papua New Guinea. Because, quite frankly, everyone is tired of plans. We've got excellent plans in place. We have the Vision 2050 and the PNG DSP. They have great medium-term development for, as Tony Samuel is sitting here, and all our wonderful people in the government. We don't need any more plans. This is not an attempt to produce another detailed costing, a detailed, programmatic, symptomatic-driven plan. It's an attempt to address the underlying issues as to why the existing plans are not being implemented sufficiently and adequately. That is the gist of this. And at the heart of it is a mindset. It's a leadership mindset. It's a governance and management issue. Because this is a wonderfully blessed country, as you all know. Wonderfully blessed country. When I stood here last time, I mentioned the example of Israel, a tiny desert country the size of Western Britain. Of course, everybody slammed me back on the social media. They're destroying Gaza and killing people. I know that is not right. But that was not the point I was making. We all condemn the actions in Gaza. That is a complex issue. The point I was making, small desert country, surrounded by enemies, the innovation, the technology, the drive, the focus, $583 billion US economy. Compare that to Papua New Guinea, our situation. Surrounded by wonderful friends, full of resources, sunshine, the rain pours on us, as the Prime Minister keeps saying. Why have not we progressed at the same rate as our regional friends and globally even? And this is the underlying question that we are putting. So please, this is not another plan. People are tired of plans. This is why the existing plans are not being implemented at the rate they should be. Why some of our indicators are so low relative to the world. This is objectively driven by 4 independent reports, I should say. I want to make that very clear. These three of them at the back of this report, and the fourth one is this one done in collaboration with the University of Papua. Okay? It's not just the dream of Arthur Samara and Charles Abel or anyone else. It is objectively driven based on facts and figures, and we need to get back to an approach that uses facts and figures to drive our decision making. On the tenets, important tenets in research Papua New Guinea. Everything must be driven by the truth, by reality. Okay? You can't avoid politics sometimes. That is one of the issues. Our leaders are constantly dealing with politics and not able to address development issues simply based on facts and figures. Okay, I come back to this point. It takes a vision, a mindset of change, a realization of what the facts are, and responding appropriately to the facts and the needs of our people. Okay. I always say that, I tend to sort of start rambling on. I've tried my best to write a written speech today, but written speeches tend to be a little bit structured and boring. At the same time, they're concise and to the point, I suppose. So let me refer back to some of my notes. But once again, we acknowledge our good Prime Minister. A man that is constantly on the go and constantly moving. A man of tremendous energy. Okay? We are here to help him achieve his vision for the country as well. That's what it's about. It's about teamwork, as we tried to show on the screen. At the same time, we must be honest with each other. I believe the Prime Minister selected Arthur Samara and Charles Abel because we tend to be people that just speak our mind. Okay? We're not here to play politics, to fluff up the government. Okay? We're here to try and give some of that objective truth that I'm talking about. So thank you, Prime Minister, for selecting us, knowing that perhaps we might say some things you may not agree with, you may feel a bit uncomfortable with. And honestly speaking, this document does say some uncomfortable truths, including the fact that executive government is overreaching into everything. There's too much politics running our country at the moment. Most things are driven by politics in this country. It permeates almost everything. Thank you. You've come at the right time. Welcome. So, Prime Minister, we acknowledge you. All our other invited guests are here today, particularly Grand Chief John Monas. We thank him and acknowledge him as always. It's amazing at 80 years of age, he's still able to participate like this. It is amazing that the chairman of our Constitutional Committee is still with us and able to impart that history to us. What a blessing, Lord. We can hear directly from the source, the man that traveled around the country and consulted and built this beautiful constitution with the help of other people as well. So, Grand Chief, we continue to acknowledge you and thank you for only talking to me this morning and agreeing to come along, and also accepting to say a few words before our Prime Minister speaks. We acknowledge you. Our other invited guests are sitting at the panel here. Dr. Osborne Salida, Director for the National Research Institute, who did the primary source document behind this research issue. He will come and speak as well just after me, so we appreciate you and your help, and we acknowledge the NRI as well. Obviously the Chancellor will acknowledge, thank you. All our invited guests have already been acknowledged. The seniors that are sitting in the front here, and particularly all the heads of our government agencies. As I was saying this morning, I know you get tired of these launchings. I know that there's sometimes too much talking and not enough action. That's what I keep saying. But we appreciate your time. You're busy people. And once again, as I say, we put on that basketball uniform for the colors of Papua New Guinea. We are all Team Papua New Guinea. Okay? This is not an attempt to try and talk at you or talk down upon you. This is an attempt to help us and help you and help our people of Papua New Guinea. So please understand, as I keep saying, it is Team Papua New Guinea. We will take the time to communicate this document. We will travel around and talk to all our diplomatic partners and development partners and everyone else, right down to our grassroots people. Wallace Yakum, the director of the CIMC, was part of our steering committee. And I was hoping she would help me in the delivery unit with the communication side of things. We must make sure the ordinary people of Papua New Guinea understand what government is talking about. Ultimately, though, the message is that we are all part of this development process and exercise. Development and change starts with you and I, doesn't it? Very important. What am I contributing to Papua New Guinea? So, this morning's program is primarily for the Prime Minister himself to launch the document. It is the Prime Minister who has initiated and sponsored this document in Cabinet. He will also launch the site on the department's web page, so that ordinary Papua New Guineans, or most of them, can click on it and see the document themselves. And then, of course, he will have to move in and launch the book. Following the remarks from myself and Dr. Osman Salida, and of course we will get the Grand Chief to come in and speak. We will then, after launching, we will break for lunch, and it is at 2 o'clock onwards when we will have, I will present the document in a bit more detail, okay? It's not appropriate to do it right now, but I'll take it through in some more detail for us to understand. For those of you who want to stay back and see that, we'll have after two, we'll also speak, and we'll also have David Waring. I want the CEO of the NMCA to also talk to us and tell us what that new organization is going to do, and how it is going to interact with the Reset 50 delivery unit in this important exercise that we are undertaking. And we will also give an opportunity for questions from the media and the public. I just come back to the point. I tried to show the video today, of course. It was only half the video, but we acknowledge the PNG basketball team and Mr. Kurari Muri there and the Muri family. And we're very, very proud of that, of the gold medal that the PNG collect, the silver medal that the ladies collect. It's amazing, as the Prime Minister was saying when we welcome them back, what a unifying thing sport is for Papua New Guinea. With our rugby league coming up, we take all these opportunities to bring our people together, because it is difficult to unite this country sometimes. 800 different languages, the geography, etc., etc. It is not easy. Let us utilize those moments to drive the spirit of unity in Papua New Guinea. Okay, I spoke here recently at the PNG update, the collaboration between the ANU and the UPNG, and I promised to bring this document back to you, and indeed that is why I'm standing out here today. My opening statement, again, at that day was less talk and more action, which I've repeated, that remains relevant today. I'm primarily a person of action. As I said, no one is interested in more plans. We are supporting the existing plans. This is not another plan, it is an attempt to address the underlying issues as to the implementation of those plans. I just quote here quickly James 2:17 as well. Faith without works is dead. Okay? Faith without works is dead. Even the Bible drives us to action. Too many empty words or too many words are meaningless unless you back it up with necessary action. And that action starts with us personally. If we are driven by our faith, if we believe in the Bible, if we are Christians, we need to act at a personal level. It has to transform your life. If you transform your life, you will transform the nation. Transform the nation. At 50 years since independence, and again, it was so impressive, Prime Minister, the way our people came together and celebrated the 50th independence celebration. Okay, we were thinking, oh, there's going to be probably not. There was great pride and joy. There was great resilience in our people. People still believe very much in this sovereign state of Papua New Guinea. Okay? We still subscribe to it. And we believe in Papua New Guinea. But the question that PM has asked us to examine is how are we tracking against the aspirations of our Grand Chief here and our other founding fathers as captured in the Constitution. And I think it's entirely appropriate that 50 years these questions are asked, and the Prime Minister declared on the 9th of February, he announced a comprehensive government review leading to a 20-year roadmap. I want to just say again and repeat this point. This is not a map as such. It is not a roadmap as such. Our roadmap is the Constitution and Vision 2050. This is just an examination of the underlying impediments to the implementation. NEC came up with a decision number 19 on 2025, the 30th of April, which established a steering committee on the terms of reference for this work. Obviously, I was the chairman, appointed and deputy chair by Abel and we scrambled in 2 months to put this review together in 1 month and write this document in another month to have it ready by July deadline, so that it can be taken through the process, the government caucus, etc., etc., and ultimately get to this point here today, but even more ultimately to get to the implementation side of it. I just say some history quickly, which I said here last time to some extent. My grand-uncle, Sir Cecil Abel, was the first lecturer in political science at the newly established Administration College when Lieutenant Governor Sir Hubert Murray asked him to take on the role in 1963. Obviously, all these early institutions, including UPNG in 1965, were being established in preparation for independence. So Sir Cecil Abel was the first lecturer in political science at the Admin College. Previously, Sir Hubert had tasked Sir Cecil Abel at the time to lead an expedition into the Punika area of Abel, okay? The inland area of Abel, to talk to the people there who refused to stop fighting. In those days, in 1934, those Punika people, in order to get married, you have to kill someone and chop their fingers off. And so they chop their fingers off, they drive them, of course, and hang them by their ears. Hang them on their ears, and the more fingers you have, the more qualified you are to get married. You know? Just imagine the pressure on people to kill somebody. The government administration was struggling to stop them from killing themselves, so he would ask Cecil to go up. And as I write in my book there, when he went up there, they said, here comes a white man who can kill a white man, because he took no police patrol with him. He was the first white man not to come with a police patrol. You only remember these missionaries, and they planned to kill him when they went hunting. But when they saw him shoot a wallaby from quite a distance away, and when they saw the way he was slept in the same house with the local people and ate with them and was speaking the same language with them, they changed their minds. Anyway, he ended up establishing a mission there, school and hospital and so on, under the Apollo Church. And the Apollo Church was the church established by my great-grandfather, Reverend Charles William Abel. You see the book outside on the table there, the thick blue book, written by Nancy Lutton, who was a librarian here and did a master's thesis here at UPNG on Reverend Charles Abel, who was my great-grandfather. So Cecil was the founding member of the Bully Heath Club and the Pongi Party, and he was elected in 1968 as the first regional member for Unveil. He was credited with writing the preamble to the Constitution. Okay, now I think it was based on the fact that he wrote the 8-point economic plan for the Pongi Party. Okay, there's equity, inclusion, sovereignty, and all those elements came out of that and formed the basis of the preamble to the Constitution. He was a senior advisor to Sir Michael, and Sir Michael became Chief Minister in 1972. So there's a relationship there between the Abel family and the Marape family, but obviously deep links back into the foundation of this nation, because Arthur obviously is the son of Sir Michael Marape, and Sir Michael Marape needs no introduction whatsoever by my family history. So these are some of the reasons, apart from the fact Arthur and I spent 3 terms in Parliament separately, and various capacities as ministers and so on. So the Prime Minister decided, despite the fact that we were politicians, to ask us to drive this document. This is our document, Prime Minister, and thank you so much. We were also supported by a fantastic steering committee, and we had to put together a technical committee, as I said, and the Chief Secretary and the department, all the staff were fantastic. Okay? And so the initial task after putting the technical committee together was to try and develop some source documentation for the review itself. I'm going to drive down through these documents now quickly, because I will not take too much of your time. But the 3 source documents you'll find in the back of this document, the first one is from the NRI, National Research Institute, and it's called Review of Papua New Guinea's Development Performance at 1975 to 2024, from the CINC, Regional and National Forums. They produced a report called Snapshot Report, National Development Forum Recommendations 2014 to 2024, 10 years of consulting with civil society and the public as to what those recommendations and needs from our people were. From the UNDP, okay, a high-power delegation came, including the Chief Economist of Asia and the Pacific, and they did a document called PNG at 50, Delivering for Development. The 4th document, which I've already mentioned, is this book here, which was the collaboration that was launched by the Treasurer at the recent PNG update, okay, by Professor Stephen Howes. It's a collaboration between the University of Papua New Guinea and Australian National University. It's called Struggle, Reform, Boom and Bust, and it is an economic history of Papua New Guinea since independence. So the Professor kindly made the book available to us before it was released to the public, and we thank Professor Howes and ANU and UPNG for that. Now I'm going to quote from each of these reports, if you will bear with me. Number 1, the NRI report states, beyond the political independence focus, big questions remain in terms of whether real development has been achieved. The review shows that development planning has become a political and bureaucratic culture in PNG. Unfortunately, the overall impact on national development has been limited due to weak implementation. The weak implementation is due to resourcing constraints, unclear objectives and targets, lack of ownership, lack of alignment, lack of public participation, lack of reliable data, and lack of monitoring and evaluation. Okay, this is the NRI saying, this is not me. Another key issue affecting successive fiscal policy formulation and implementation is high population growth. For example, for the period 2009 to 2024, population growth was around 2.7% annually against real GDP growth rate of 0.3%. There is a need to grow the economy to cater for the needs and demands of the population. In the medium to long term, strategic intervention is needed to manage the growth of the population. Another quote from the NRI report. In the last 15 years, the review showed that rather than focusing on lawmaking and executive oversight, MPs assume the role of subnational service providers, blurring the distinction between legislative functions and the role of the bureaucracy. Prime ministerial tenure has lengthened partly due to OLIPAC, constitutional amendments, and increasing use of DSIP and PSIP funds as political tools. Another quote, okay, because it's a long document that they've done. The final strategic intervention to improve development plan implementation is to strengthen the modality of the private sector as the driver for development, with the state as a facilitator. The NRI report also provides a review of the performance of the Pangu coalition government in the past 6 years, as directed by Cabinet. These are contained in pages 34 to 42 of their document. Progress has been made. The challenges of the COVID have been dealt with, but much of the recurring weaknesses still persist, including a reliance on fiscal deficits and burgeoning debt, little foreign direct investment, a heavy reliance on the commodity price cycle, lack of data, election integrity issues, the growth of off-budget revenue flows, and an ever-growing bureaucracy. Number 2, from the CIMC summary of 10 years of public consultations. The consultations identified 2 foundational imperatives for national renewal. 1, restoring trust through institutional integrity. This requires a direct and systemic confrontation with corruption through measures that depoliticize the public service, ensure transparent management of public funds, guarantee merit-based appointments, and reform the electoral process. Number 2 principle was anchoring reform in participatory governance. Going to the UNDP report, which states, notwithstanding its significant accomplishment over the last 5 decades, Papua New Guinea marks its 50th anniversary at a time of deep development challenges and narrowing windows of opportunity. The country is in a human development crisis. Demographic pressures, climate risks, and a more volatile global landscape are placing additional strain on already overstretched institutions. Yet, this moment also presents an opening to reframe PNG's development model, reset its governance foundations, and renew the social contract between the state and its citizens. Number 4, the ANU UPNG book on PNG's economic history since independence says on page 19, while each period is distinctive because it breaks the economic history or our history into 4 periods, while each period is distinctive, overall, PNG's post-independence development record has been disappointing. John Fennell's conclusion 2 decades ago that neither consistent growth nor sustainable development have been achieved since independence remains valid today. The last 2 periods have seen a slightly better performance than the first 2. However, for the entire post-independence period, the growth rate of non-resource GDP per person, has only averaged 0.4% per year, and formal sector employment only 1.5%, well below the population growth rate. PNG's growth performance is not the worst in the world, but it is certainly well below average. Non-income indicators are alarmingly low by international standards, and in some cases have worsened. In recent years, PNG has had the lowest rate of immunization, the 4th highest rate of child stunting and risk of premature death from non-communicable disease, and the 7th lowest doctor-population ratio in the world. Okay, from the same book, reforms are needed for faster growth and better development outcomes. Whether they will be undertaken or not depends on deeper institutional factors, which are the subject of Chapter 12. It emphasizes what it calls a pattern of hyper-politics, hyper or very local, popular and insecure politics with weak partners, a constant contestation for power, and no clear distinction between the political and business class. Hyper-politics has been conducive to political regime stability, but has not otherwise been supportive of development. Coming to the end. Grand Chief himself, Dr. John Momas, says in our foreword that he wrote, he says, we have strayed over time from important principles in the Constitution, like the sharing of power. The Bougainville situation is an example of this. Leaders have forgotten the people and become more concerned with making money and holding on to power. We are now at the mercy of a highly centralized, bureaucratized government. Close quotation. We did 51 separate consultations, including from the Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, and down. The full list of the consultation is on page 52 of the document. The document itself is only 62 pages long, people. Very concise. The whole document is 282 pages because of the annexes, documents that I've mentioned, but the document itself is only 62 pages long. It is not a long prescriptive document, as I keep saying. Okay? It's just addressing through some basic principles the underlying issues. It took only 2 months of work since the technical committee started in June. The first draft was completed by the 31st of July. On the 30th of August, it was presented to Government Caucus. And on the 1st of September, presented to Cabinet. NEC Decision number 198 endorsed the roadmap for implementation through a delivery unit established at the Department of Prime Minister and NEC. The Chief Secretary, based on his recommendations to Cabinet and advice to the PM, appointed myself to lead the delivery unit on the 10th of September. Okay. This review exercise has led to a simple and concise roadmap of only 62 pages, I said. It is called Reset at 50. This name was uttered by the PM in his speech at the CIMC National Forum at Abel House on the 2nd of April 2025. The Reset name comes from the Prime Minister himself. The word reset has obvious connotations. The document is a call for a reset in the governance approach to our nation. It is a call to revisit and restore the constitutional framework of our government system. It is an affirmation of the sanctity of our Constitution and the belief in the intentions of our founding fathers and the system they gave us. This includes the fundamental principles of the separation and balance of power and authority between the 3 arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, as I alluded to earlier. This document calls for a reset in our focus back to the ordinary citizens of our country and what is truly best for their lives through integral human development, which is the first principle of the 5 guiding and directive principles in the preamble to the Constitution. This document is a call for a reset to a data-driven, analysis-driven logic to government decision-making. This document is a call for a reset to a governance approach based on facilitation, empowering, and enabling, rather than one based on intervention, duplication of roles, and over-regulation. This document is a call for a reset to a greater emphasis on accountability, monitoring, coordination, and impact. This document calls for urgency to address the demographic time bomb. There are 5 key principles in this document. 10 big bets. Big bets is the term that we use, as mentioned by the Chancellor. Chancellor, congratulations on your 50-year reform or 30-year reform. There's 14 case studies and 43 quick wins. Okay? And I will not be going through them now. I'll be addressing those in this afternoon session because it will just take too long. So, on behalf of our steering committee, on behalf of Arthur and myself, I say thank you again to the Prime Minister and the NEC for this opportunity. Thank you for the courage to initiate this work, Prime Minister, as part of your reform agenda. This is your project, your program, Prime Minister, your government's program. We are here to answer to what you asked us to do, to give you an objective review. Okay? This is not an attempt to criticize this government. This is an attempt to criticize all of us, or to shine a light on all of us and the performance since independence. Because there have been wins under each government, including this government. And we know the Prime Minister loves this country and is trying his absolute best. We are here to support him, as I say. Once again, Chief Secretary Ivan Pamalu, we really appreciate you and your staff, your support. And so, as I say once again, and in closing, we are Team Papua New Guinea. The hard work before us. It's one thing to write a document, it's another thing to unite and actually get the implementation done. I encourage you all to please take the opportunity to read the document. I noticed some criticism this morning saying, oh, the document, it doesn't include things like land mobilization. Excuse me, big bet number 8 is land mobilization. Please read the document before you criticize it. Huh? That's the first thing you do before you just rush to criticize it. But I emphasize it's not a prescriptive document. It doesn't say how to address education, how to address health. Those are things that have already been addressed in the existing plans. The existing health plans, the education plans, the law and order plans, this is just an attempt to address why those plans are not being properly implemented. I'm repeating myself here again. There's a 2-year implementation plan that we are going to try our very best to get into with the direction of our Cabinet. So once again, thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for your time today. And we really appreciate your coming and participating in this process. Thanks again, as always, to our good Prime Minister. And glory goes back to God for blessing us with this beautiful country. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.